Hey everybody, it is Adele Frizzell here, and I'm with,
Tiffany Buck here.
and today we're going to talk about 5 tips to reduce hunger on a diet. Our best tips. I mean, we could give you 20 tips, but we're going to keep it to 5 and maybe one bonus today. So if you're just logging in now and you're watching this, please give us a hello. Let us know you can see and hear us. All right, so 5 tips to reduce hunger on a diet. Let's face it, when we are dieting, hunger is a normal part of the process. But managing hunger becomes really critical because if you're unable to manage your hunger, eventually the wheels are going to come off. You're not going to be able to adhere long enough to get the results that you truly crave. So there needs to be some strategies in place for
Yeah.
you to stick to a diet long enough to lose the weight.
Well, and I think that it's important to note that these strategies are not just for when you're in a diet too, because it's normal to have hunger at maintenance as well. As you like to say, if you're never hungry, you're probably gaining weight.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think in our society in North America, we're really taught that hunger is a bad thing. You should avoid hunger at all costs. But there are other cultures, like in France, they have a saying, hunger is the best sauce. When you are slightly hungry before you eat, you enjoy your meal so much more. And when you cultivate a little hunger before eating, you will enjoy your food. Now, I'm not talking about extreme hunger because then the chances of overeating are really quite high. But like, for example, we have a culture of snacking a lot in the United States, and there's a lot of processed foods. There's like, you go grocery shopping, a ton of snacks. Like there are whole aisles of snacks. In France, I mean, there's snacks too, but people actually look at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Parents will have their kids not snack, so they develop an appetite for supper. And snack, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but actually, like childhood obesity is on the rise. 30% of children now in the United States are overweight or obese. Adults, we're going to reach 70% of adults are overweight or obese. Snacking is such a big part of the problem. A child actually consumes more than 600 calories a day on average through snacks. So getting a little off topic, but basically, when we're trying to lose weight, I think it's really important that we check in with ourselves and we see, like, am I physically hungry or am I just eating out of habit? Okay, so let's get started with the 5 tips. All right, what is number 1, Tiffany?
So the first tip that we have for you is to make sure that that you're getting your sleep. Sleep is going to be a priority no matter what. We do recommend 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. Sometimes it's going to be difficult to hit this goal. So just try to be as consistent as possible there. And the reason why we want you to focus on sleep is because
You got a
that,
kitty.
yeah, this cat always is in my lap when I'm sitting in the chair. But the reason why we want you to focus on your sleep is because if you are not well rested, chances are, 1, you're going to feel sluggish. 2, your body's going to be like, I'm tired, I need an energy boost. And you're going to start having some more of those carb cravings. So it may feel like you have more hunger than normal when you are not getting adequate amounts of sleep. And then I would also check in with your quality of sleep because you might be sleeping 8 to 10 hours a night. But how good is your sleep? Do you have sleep apnea, or are you waking up frequently throughout the night? Because those things, even if you are sleeping for longer durations, it could add up to where it's not as restful as it should be because you're constantly interrupting your sleep cycles.
Sleep is number 1, seriously, for your health and wellness, not just your weight. So important to get a good night's sleep. And you know, when you're dieting or you're training hard, you actually might need 9 hours of quality sleep. So if you want some tips on sleeping better, on my blog, adelefrizzell.com, in the blog section, I have many articles on sleep. One is called 14 Tips for a Better Sleep. If you read that and just started implementing a couple of them, it could really help your sleep. So if you don't get enough sleep, hunger goes up, like Tiffany said, and we know that ghrelin, the hunger hormone, goes up, and leptin, the satiety hormone, goes down. And also, your body can become more catabolic, meaning it starts to eat at your muscle tissue, and you preferentially store more body fat. So sleep is so important for long-term weight management, not just dieting.
Something else that happens too when you're sleeping is your stress hormones actually kind of level out. So if you don't get adequate amounts of sleep, you might find that you have more stress than normal.
Yeah, cortisol goes up.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so that's number one tip. Get your sleep, 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. Quantity and quality both matter
Mhm.
for managing your appetite. So another tip to reduce hunger on a diet is filling up on low-calorie fruits and vegetables. We recommend you aim for 1 to 2 fist sizes per meal. Okay, an apple is a fist size, a cup of grapes, a cup of watermelon, a cup of zucchini, that kind of thing. 1 to 2 fist sizes per meal. This is so important, not just for dieting, but for long-term weight management and good health. And we were talking a little bit about this before our Facebook Live, and Tiffany mentioned, people have a real hard time with breakfast and getting their fruits and vegetables in,
Mhm.
especially vegetables, because in North America, we tend to have very grain-based breakfasts. And vegetables are not really a thing. They're more challenging. Do you have some tips for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing is if you find yourself to be a person that just cannot do veggies first thing in the morning, then that's a good time to prioritize your fruit intake. Fruit's usually a little bit easier for people to have in the mornings with breakfast. But if you are trying to increase your veggies, something that's really simple to do is to have like an omelet or a scramble, and you can use different types of vegetables in it. I love putting squash and zucchini in my omelets and scrambles too. So stuff like that. You can also, if you're having like overnight oats or something like that, you can put shredded zucchini or even shredded carrots in your overnight oats. And you might go, whoa, that's weird. But honestly, like if you do shredded carrots in it, you can make it taste like a carrot cake. There's different little flavorings that you can add in to make it more appealing to you. So don't be afraid to experiment with different fruits and veggies with your meals. It's a good rule of thumb, or something that I do that helps me, is I try to keep bell peppers chopped up in my fridge so that they're just ready to get tossed in the pan and warmed up with my egg. I'm not having to add time in my mornings by chopping anything up. Little tips like that. Onions, tomatoes, stuff like that, ready to go on hand is really helpful for increasing your veggies first thing in the morning. And something that you mentioned the other day that stood out to me was salsa. Have some salsa with your eggs. Like that's a great way to have veggies first thing in the morning. And who doesn't love some salsa?
Totally. And like working in those veggies in sneaky ways, like you can put them in the green smoothies. We're actually going to be having a green smoothie challenge in this group mid-August. So stay tuned for that. It's a 5-day challenge and there will be a prize. But yesterday, like I have company over currently, and I made blueberry muffins for breakfast this morning, and I shredded some zucchini and I put in like a good cup and a half into the muffin mix, and it makes them really moist, and it's a way to sneak in more vegetables. You can put shredded zucchini and spaghetti sauce and things like that. So it bulks out a meal, but it's not really adding hardly any calories.
Mhm.
And that's what you want to do. Aim for 1 to 2 fistfuls of fruits and veggies at every meal every day. And that will fill up your stomach, and that will keep the hungry monsters at bay.
Yeah, and the great thing is too is if you do find yourself a little hungry later, you can always have fruits or veggies as a snack. And it's really hard to overeat, especially like with something like watermelon. We actually looked it up, and watermelon, about a cup of watermelon is only 46 calories. So and that's a significant amount of food, you know?
Yeah, if you ate 4 cups of watermelon, you'd feel pretty full, and it would only be 200 calories,
Yeah.
less than 200 calories. Don't be afraid of fruit. There's a lot of craziness on the internet right now about like staying away from fruit because it spikes your blood sugar and it's gonna make it hard to lose weight. No, the glycemic load is quite low on watermelon. You're having fiber, you're having water. Fruit is not the enemy that people are making it out to be. And the healthiest people in the world eat lots of fruit and vegetables. Okay, what's tip number 3 to keep the hungry monsters at bay? while
So
dieting.
one second. Bronwyn said that she doesn't have any audio. Joan, can you hear us loud and proud? So just want to make sure that they can actually hear us. I
Yeah.
can hear you just fine. So Bronwyn, I suggest making sure that you double check your speakers and turning up your speakers.
Or if
seeing
she's using
something being
headphones.
unplugged. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes people don't push the headphones in all the way and then they can't hear things. Thanks for letting us know though.
Joan can hear us, so that's good.
Okay, good.
So tip number 3, sorry, I just wanted to verify that real fast. Tip number 3 is have at least one palm-sized protein at every meal. So we want you guys to prioritize protein. Obviously, there's going to be specific goals for protein for different people based on what their target ranges are and everything. But this is a good rule of thumb to make you make it be at the end of the day and you're like, how much protein have I had today? Well, I had one palm size at every meal. That was 3 meals. Maybe I should have a protein snack just to take me a little bit higher up. That's something that you can be mindful about as well. And the great thing about protein is it's very satiating. So whenever you are prioritizing your protein, you're more likely to feel satiated, feel full sooner, and for that fullness to last a little bit longer than if you had a meal with next to no protein in it. So an example of what that could look like is a chicken breast, a palm-sized chicken breast. Does anyone know roughly how many protein macros are in a palm-sized chicken breast? Let me know in the comments if you do. So Linda and Joan both said they could hear us just fine.
Good. Good. Yeah, let's get some guesses here, ladies. So if you cut off your fingers, and people's palms are different sizes. I have fairly large hands. So I'd probably be about 4.5 ounces of chicken breast. What would that equate to in protein macros?
Yeah.
We'll come back to this in a second. But as you know, if you've been working with us as a client, different protein sources give you different amounts of protein macros. So chicken breast is quite high in protein macros. Eggs, you're getting about 6 grams of protein in an egg, you know, so not a lot of protein. What would be a palm size worth in eggs? Maybe
I would
2
say
to 3.
that 2 to 3 eggs. Yeah.
So you'd only be getting 12 to 18 grams of protein in that.
Looking at my tiny little palms, probably 2 eggs.
Yeah.
If I cup it, I might hit 3.
And they say palm size is also the same thickness, by the way, about a deck of cards in thickness. Okay. But, you know, it's a good thing to shoot for. Protein at every meal really can reduce carb cravings, hunger, all of that. So it's really essential when we're coaching people that they're working in the protein. Total protein matters the most, but some at every meal really works to help suppress the appetite. So there's a tip for you.
Yeah, and I think that it's great that you mentioned that not all proteins are going to have, or not all food sources are going to have the same amount of protein, because that's 100% true. And some proteins are going to have more fats than others. So that's all things that you have to be mindful of whenever you are selecting your protein. There have not been any guesses in the comments, but
we'll tell you the answer.
Yeah, so for my hand size, I estimate 35 to 40 grams of protein per chicken breast. So yeah, that's pretty good.
That is pretty good. That's really good. If you had 3 of those in a day, you'd be over 100 grams of protein, which is what we recommend for our clients, at least 100 grams a day.
Yeah, Joan just did 30 grams.
Good guess. Yeah. And for me, it'd be slightly higher. I have larger hands. My protein needs are also higher. The nice thing about using your hands is that bigger people need more macros, and if they're going with their hands are also correspondingly larger too. So it kind of works out. Okay, the next tip we have for you is to not drop your calories too low. Okay, focus on a smaller calorie deficit in order to lose weight. Because what can happen is when you have a large calorie deficit and you're really hoping to lose weight as quickly as possible, it can be really hard to adhere to it. After a week or two, the wheels might come off, and then you're eating all the food and you're making no progress. In fact, you might start regaining all the weight that you lost. So a smaller calorie deficit is going to be better for your energy, your sleep, your health, and just mentally a bit more food freedom.
Yeah,
You don't,
I
yeah,
agree with that.
yeah. So usually there's the backlash when you cut your calories too low. I mean, not to say we don't have very low calorie diets as part of our coaching, and we let people do rapid weight loss, but you're being coached then. And I don't recommend doing it on your own. There's a smart way to do rapid weight loss, and then there are really stupid ways to do rapid weight loss.
Yeah. And then I think that it's important to mention that on the flip side of that is monitor your exercise. Don't try to over exercise. Walking is fantastic. The more intense your exercise is, the more hunger you're probably going to have. So
Yeah.
just be mindful of that. You've got to find that balance between your caloric intake and your body's output. So too much, too few calories, too much exercise, and your hunger is going to be through the roof.
100%. Okay, so our fifth tip for you to reduce hunger on a diet.
So we suggest that you try to eat at similar times each day. This is because your body has a natural circadian rhythm that it likes to adhere to, and then also hormonal signaling. So basically, our bodies respond better when we're on a routine. And people think of circadian rhythm and they just think about sleep, but it actually
circadian. Circadian rhythms.
Oh, circadian. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm saying that incorrectly.
Yeah.
Circadian rhythm. But it's a 24-hour window. It's not just your sleep window. So everything that you do throughout the day is also going to affect that.
Yeah. You know, when you eat kind of within the same hour or two at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, what happens is your body begins to expect to eat at those times. And so the hormonal signaling that happens, ghrelin, your hunger hormone kicks up. Leptin, the satiety hormone, works more effectively. Interestingly enough, people who don't follow a routine of eating and eat very sporadically, skip breakfast one day, maybe then they skip lunch, they overeat at dinner, you know, like they're all over the place. Those people struggle with their weight more. So there is a relationship. Now, is it causation or correlation? We actually do think there's some causation there. But working with your body's natural rhythms is one of the best things that you can do. It also helps, interestingly enough, eating at set meal times, following certain meal patterns, means that not only are your hormones working more efficiently, your insulin sensitivity can improve. Your actual cholesterol, your triglycerides can improve as well. And there is some research on that. So I think, you know, if you are a very sporadic eater, then we would urge you to try eating in more of a consistent way, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Or if you just cannot stomach breakfast, do something very light in the morning.
And I think that
1 or 2 hours of waking up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one huge thing to point out here is that you mentioned that within 1 to 2 hours each day. So it doesn't mean that you have to have breakfast at 8 o'clock every day or lunch at noon every day, but within a window around then is still considered that same mealtime window. Because you also, on the flip side of that, you don't want to force yourself to eat if you're not hungry in that moment. Allow yourself to listen to your body and say, I'm not hungry quite yet, or I'm starting to feel a little hungry. I'll eat in about 30 minutes to an hour. So that's going to help you create a better connection with how your body's responding to hunger and a better understanding of how you're feeling overall as well.
But, you know, if you resist doing it because you're like, I am just not hungry in the morning, it might be because you overeat and really graze and snack at night. So you have all this undigested food in your stomach, and that's why you're not hungry. So if you shifted some of those meal times, you might actually have more of an appetite in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a bonus tip for you. So
yes.
What's our bonus tip for helping with hunger when you're on a diet?
So our big bonus tip is check in with yourself. We kind of talked about it at the beginning of the program, but you want to stop before you're eating and you want to ask yourself, why am I hungry? Is it emotional? Is it stress? Am I bored? Is there some kind of outside source, or am I actually hungry? And once you pinpoint that, a great thing to do is to try to find a distraction that does not involve food. Maybe it's getting up and going for a walk. Maybe it's taking a bath and reading a book. Maybe it's having just going to sit outside and playing cards or something away from where the food source is. Anything that can distract yourself in that moment is going to be beneficial for helping you stick to your goals, and also help you create an outlet for these other factors that is not food related.
Mm-hmm. What can feel like really urgent physical hunger may actually disappear in about 20 minutes if you distract yourself. And if it doesn't, then eat. Then you're truly hungry. But we have these ghrelin rises and falls throughout the day. Have you ever felt like, I need to eat something now, but then something happened and you got distracted, and then an hour goes by and you're like, I'm not even hungry? That's a real thing. So as Tiffany said, if you feel hungry, check in with yourself. Am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired? Address it accordingly. And if you feel hungry, then just distract yourself for 20 minutes. And if you're still hungry, eat. If you're truly hungry, you're not just emotionally eating or craving something out of the blue. Yeah. Works about 80% of the time.
Yeah, it's actually a really great tool that sometimes is overlooked, because we are very much in that moment type of people, like humans are in general. We want something right then and there, and it's hard to sometimes practice that pause. But when you master practicing that pause, it's really going to give you long-term success.
Well said. Yeah. Okay, well, we hope you enjoyed those tips. Are there any questions in the comments?
No questions, but Linda is on the call, and she said that she set an alarm so she wouldn't miss the call this time. So that's fantastic. We love having you here.
That's wonderful. Okay, so that wraps it up. Our 5 tips to reduce hunger on a diet, plus a bonus. If you have any questions or you want any more resources on that, I have tons of articles on my website. I'm happy to send you a link, like to that sleep article and stuff like that. We hope you enjoyed this. And if you have any topics you would like us to cover in next week's Facebook Live, just mention it below. We're always looking for great topic ideas. All right, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.